All right. We're talking about these things again. Yes, last year I made a big video on my Rubik's Cube collection, and since then, I have only gone deeper down the rabbit hole. For instance, check out this thing. This is a 10 by 10 Rubik's Cube, so it is huge. It takes a long time to solve, but I can do it. I'm not gonna do it right now because it'll take too long. Oh no, I dropped many things. But this represents some of the more recent innovations in Rubik's cubing. This one right here is the same basic cube that you could get at any Walmart or Target or Walgreens, literally any store on the planet. However, they've actually updated this recently with one of these. This is the Rubik's Speed. Here it is outside of the box. I want to keep this one sealed. But this is a lot more akin to what most modern cubes look like and feel like. This is a speed cube made to replicate a lot of the speed cubes that have been made by other brands like GAN. These things have much fancier internal mechanisms, they move faster, they're designed differently so that you can do like crazy, hold on, the magnets in this are too strong, crazy corner cut things like that. And so Rubik's teamed up with one of those companies to make a basic level equivalent that you can find, again, at just about any big box store that you want. It's pretty good, actually. I'm not very good at it myself, but you know. But while these might be the most recent and currently accessible versions of the Rubik's Cube, today I want to focus on where it all began. I'm talking these, baby, vintage 1980s Rubik's Cubes. I showed these off in my last video. I even put a little bit of that like oh god. You know, I showed these off in my last video. They are very old, very clunky, but these are the original 1980 Rubik's Cubes. The cube was first invented in 1974 and then became a commercial product in the States, at least, in the year of 1980. There's quite a lot of differences. You'll see the color orientation is vastly different, and where these modern ones use plastic tiles, these vintage ones, of course, famously use stickers that a lot of people just peeled off. Hold on, let me solve this one real quick. There we go. More interesting than those, I think, is this. This is my sealed in the original plastic Rubik's Cube from 1980. I think this is such a cool little display piece, but this is what the packaging used to look like back in the day. And actually, because the Rubik's Cube recently celebrated its 50th anniversary, you know, 1974 to 2024, we actually got a few throwback cubes that replicated this packaging, including this one that is specifically Stranger Things branded. You know, it's got that kind of upside down demon world aesthetic to it, but it fully recreates the original box, so I absolutely had to have it. These were only available at Game, which is a store in the UK that is just called Game. So I had to get a friend to get these for me. Thank you, friend. But here in the States, the 50th anniversary cube looked a lot more like this. So it's recreating the old logo, it's got the stickers back, but it replaces the yellow layer with a gold layer. And it also recreated a different kind of packaging from back in the day, this little tube thing. This is exactly how a lot of old Rubik's Cubes were packaged if they weren't in that box. And we might see something like this a little bit later. And you know, one quick little thing for kicks and giggles before we move on. This being my original 80s cube, I took this and custom ordered a modern speed cube to replicate the colors and color orientation of this cube. I really think this is fun. So you get the visual experience of solving an original cube, but you get the modern, smooth usability of a speed cube. I love this. This is a Moyu, I believe. So that's what the cubes looked like in the 80s. This is what they looked like in the 90s. We moved on a little bit. The logo is different. The color orientation is still weird, but slightly changed. The orange is this weird, like, coral color. But the only real reason I want to show off this is because this is what my very first Rubik's Cube was way back in the day. I found this at my mom's office. It was already pretty tarnished, and then I just ruined it even more. So this is another very important little vintage Rubik's Cube piece for my collection. You can see I, like, started drawing on it at some point. But then once we get past the 3x3s, we of course have the bigger cubes. This is a 4x4, which this is the current day one that you can find in stores. It's small and tiled like the 3x3. But back in the 80s, they were more like this. Much bigger, using stickers, and a lot harder to turn. Look, like I can barely do that. And of course, this is what the packaging looked like. Big, bombastic packaging. You can see it was originally called the Rubik's Revenge Puzzle because this was the bigger, scarier version of Rubik's. This, like the 3x3, I will never open. This is a display piece forever for me. And the thing is, I showed off pretty much all of that back in my last Rubik's Cube video, but where I then went off into talking about more modern stuff, I didn't get the chance to talk about a whole lot of the 2x2 stuff because I didn't actually have a vintage 2x2 at that time. Now I do, and now I do, and now I do. Yeah, I have 3 now. So this is what you can get as a 2x2 today. This is the much smaller, more simple Rubik's puzzle that you can find, but I've never actually messed around with a vintage one. So you can see we're doing the exact same packaging style as the 3x3, but tiny. This was originally called the Rubik's Pocket Cube, which is cute. These two are in really nice, clean plastic wrap, so I'm gonna keep these sealed, but this one's a little bit banged up. So for the first time ever, I am going to open this and mess around with a 2x2 from the 80s for the first time ever. Oh God, oh, ew. Ew, look at that, ew. We're gonna throw that away. Rubik's Pocket Cube from probably like 1981 or something. Oh, wow. Wow, they are not messing around when they say Pocket Cube. It is tiny, dude. Hey, look at this thing compared to the modern 2x2. That is tiny. And then, hold on. Then look at either of these compared to a GAN Speed 2x2. This thing is microscopic. Damn, I did not expect it to be that tiny. Also, the sticker's coming off a little bit. That sucks. Let's see. Yeah, that moves about as well as I'd expect a vintage cube to move. Yikes. That's the reason these cubes have these like curved edges, is because otherwise these things get caught all the time. Just the squareness of the cubes just get caught on each other all the time. So let's do a quick little solve on this guy. Ow. Ow. It hurts to move it. It's so small, dude. I've been holding on to these things for like a year, and yet it never sunk in until I saw it outside of the box just how tiny this thing is. You could fit like 2 of these into a GAN. Jeez. All right, so this is a much simpler puzzle than the regular 3x3 even, but there are some weird little idiosyncrasies about it that you have to memorize. Ow, 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 ow. It won't turn. God, these old cubes suck, but I love them so much. I love collecting them. I will never solve on them outside of these videos. That's why I got the Speed Cube customized to look like one of these. I think there are specific algorithms you can do that are faster for 2x2, but I don't know any of them. So I'm just going the usual 3x3 method. And we've already got it here. So we then just kind of do our usual turning algorithms. By the way, from my first Rubik's Cube video, a lot of people made fun of me for saying that the modern Rubik's Cubes are actually kind of fast and smooth, and they are when you compare them to these. They're not going to get you through any kind of Rubik's speed cubing competition, for God's sakes, no. But compared to these things, God, they're just miraculous. I forgot where I was now. Dang it, where was I? Where was I? I forgot. Okay, let's hope and pray, hope and pray, hope and pray. Did I mess it up? Did I mess it up? Did I mess it up? No, I got it. There we go. That was hell. That is cramping my hand up already because it's so stiff and so tiny when you compare it to these bigger speed cubes. Oh my God, look at that. Look at how easy that is. Man, even comparing it to this from Rubik's Now, they've got those like curved corners, and it's not amazing, but if this is all you've had, then this is just like a game changer. You could actually learn on one of these, whereas this is more about like fighting it. You have to fight these things. But just like in my last video, let's do something a little bit stupid. In the world of speed cubing, there's lube. Cube lube. It's a real thing. You put little lubricants into these cubes to make them move smoother and faster. There's different types of lube for different effects on the cube. And I put some of that stuff into one of these vintage 3x3s last time I did this, and I made it move so much nicer. It's still clunky as hell, but you know, it's an improvement. Let's see what happens if we do that on this vintage 2x2 that has only just now been unleashed from its packaging for the first time in, what is that, 40 years plus? Okay, we're getting somewhere. We just kind of have to let it break in a little bit. This is not going to make this a good cube, but it's going to make this a manageable cube, hopefully. Okay, we'll just kind of break it in. We're going to have to wipe it off because these things get greasy. Obviously, it's lubricant. All right, let's see. Ow. No, it still gets stuck, but that is better. That is a little bit better. See, now it's slipping. That's a decent sign. But yes, that is the vintage 2x2. So now we have the vintage 2x2, 3x3, and 4x4. We've got the whole family here of the original cubes from the 80s, and I love having these. I especially love having them in their packaging. The Pocket Cube, the Rubik's Cube, and the Rubik's Revenge, all from the like 1980 to 1982 span. That's really cool to have. But none none of that is the focus of today's video. Because as I started looking online for all of those like vintage cubes, I found a treasure trove of weird Rubik's spin-off products from the 80s that I had never heard of before. That is what I want to focus on today. Of course, I wanted to go through a little bit of a recap of the world of vintage cubes first, just so we could get caught up to speed, but now we move into the weird stuff, starting with the Rubik's Cube keychain, a tiny, itty-bitty little Rubik's Cube on a keychain from the 80s. You can always kind of tell it's an 80s Rubik's Cube project because of this particular like style of packaging, the black background, this particular font, all that jazz. Rubik's Cube keychain puzzle, the miniaturized version of the original Rubik's Cube from the makers of Rubik's Cube. Look at that tiny little thing and look at how yellowed and dirty the plastic looks. Ew. So this is a real, usable Rubik's Cube on a keychain released way back in the day during the craze of Rubik's Cubes. Once these things released, they became massive, so there were a ton of spin-offs. Now, because there's no way to open this without ruining the packaging, I am gonna leave this one sealed, but that's okay because I have some modern equivalents. First, we have this Rubik's Cube keychain that I've had since I was a kid. It is a stickered cube. It works like a normal cube. It is hell to solve because of how tiny it is, but it actually has the 90s Rubik's Cube logo on it, which I think is interesting, but you'll notice it's much bigger than the 80s one, which is why I also have the world's smallest Rubik's Cube. You can find these at like Barnes & Noble or something. This is yet another totally movable, totally solvable, yet absolute hell on your hands tiny Rubik's Cube. But you'll see, even though it doesn't have the keychain, it is the actual proper size and shape of the 80s version. So should I solve it? I probably should. Hold on. I hate this. I'm gonna call that a decent enough scramble, and now we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna start with green like I always do. People in the comments of my last video were also like, dude, are you color neutral? No, I just learned to start on green, so I start on green. Apparently a lot of speed cubers start on white, and so it's weird to see someone not do that, apparently. But I learned via an old tutorial on YouTube before speed cubing became like a really, really big thing. It was that viral tutorial from way back in the day by the channel PogoBat, and that is how I learned what now people call the beginner method for solving a Rubik's Cube. Ow. So I don't know any of the C-FOPs or the J-perms or anything like that. I just solve it. I solve it the like very, very basic way, apparently. And ow, ow, ow. Like, it's so, why is this thing so sharp? Like, the edges actually kind of hurt to work with, and God, it gets stuck so easy. Ow, ow. It's literally cramping up my my left hand. Ow. This is why you have to have those corners rounded, or else the whole thing just gets stuck in itself. It catches. Dealing with cubes that got stuck made it so hard for me to remember where I was in my turns. I'd get lost so easily, which is why I was never able to learn a 4x4 until I bought like a speed cube version, because I just couldn't keep up with it. I'm already losing it. I'm losing it. I am willing to bet, almost guarantee, that if I tried to do this on the 80s keychain, it would be even worse, because not only would it probably turn worse, but it would also have a giant keychain throwing off your balance and you'd have to work around it the whole time. This is hell. There we go. Now we're just down to the last layer. Ow. I dropped it. Of course I did. I would love to see someone out there who can do this like without issue. I think I just went backwards. Oh, are you kidding me? I did the wrong algorithm and I ended up going backwards. All right, just one last little set of turns and we're good. Oh God. Die in a hole. Threw it on the ground. The Rubik's keychain. So I hated that. Let's move into something a little bit more normal sized. This is the Rubik's Cube 4th Dimension. What? Apparently this was getting into the era where Rubik's Cubes were made by Matchbox. I didn't know about that. The original Rubik's Cube 4th Dimension by Erno Rubik. C times 4 to the 4th power? What? What does that mean? Well, I've already looked into exactly what this is. This is essentially the first ever picture cube. This is an authentic Rubik's Cube TM produced to my original design standard, but with a 4th dimension added. You can still solve it by having all 6 sides in single color, but for a perfect solution, the 4 central symbols have now also to be aligned with each other. This increases the possible combinations to the 4th power and makes my cube even more challenging Erno Rubik Budapest 1988. So now all the different sides of this standard 80s 3x3 have little symbols that now all have to be aligned properly, which is something that exists today in these kinds of picture cubes. This is a Nightmare Before Christmas one that I have had lying around for a little while. And basically it works exactly like a 3x3, but if you don't pay attention to how your center cubes are oriented, you could have this particular center cube flipped upside down or to the left or to the right. And so it doesn't actually mean you've solved the cube. You've just solved the colors. You know, you want Zero's face to be on his butt? No. So now you have to worry about that as a fourth dimension. I've never actually messed with this cube. Let's see if I can get it out. How do you open this thing? There's tape all over it. I don't know if this is originally sealed or if the person who sold it to me just sealed it back up with tape, but here we go. Now we're starting to see it. So let's see here. We've got your standard basic 1980s Rubik's Cube, complete with the 1980s Rubik's Cube logo. Same weird color orientation where like blue is on the opposite side of white and stuff like that. But now on each it's only on 4 of the centerpieces. So now we've got the Rubik's Cube logo, the C times 4 to the 4th power symbol, Erno Rubik's signature, and I guess that's Erno Rubik's face. I think that's what that's supposed to be. But then the red side and the orange side don't have any symbols, so I guess that would take it to the 6th dimension. But now, I guess let's solve it. How's it turn? Oh, that's not gonna be good. At least it's already like pretty well like segmented out, so the initial solve will probably be all right. I'm not sure what they are intending in terms of all the symbols being aligned. That kind of indicates that there is a specific side of the cube that is meant to be the bottom and meant to be the top. I'm not really sure. Hold on, does the box say anything? This is the only image of the cube solved that this box actually has, and it's sitting what looks to be on the red side down, orange side up, with the blue side and yellow side next to each other, and everything would be facing in this orientation. So like this needs to be flipped around. Let's go for that. Let's just take a guess. So that means we need to start by solving the red side while ensuring that all of the centerpieces are orientated properly. I already messed up. Okay, there we go. We've got the face and the C to the 4 power and the Rubik's all aligned. But now we have to make sure that this doesn't get messed up as I fix it. Okay, there we go. We've got the blue, green, and white all aligned with the red cross here, and the centerpieces aligned properly. Now we just have to do the same with the Erno Rubik signature, and then as long as those don't get messed up from then on, which they probably shouldn't, I think we'll just be able to solve it like a normal cube at that point. All right, so we need yellow and red. Where's yellow and red? Okay, so we've got the red cross on the top, then the Erno Rubik face, C times 4 to the 4th power, and the Rubik's Cube logo are all in the proper orientation if we are assuming that the red is the bottom, and now the rest of the cube should, I think, be able to just kind of fall together normally, because the centerpieces, I don't believe, are going to get misaligned at any point during a regular solve. So let's just go from here. Where's the next red corner? It doesn't turn well. I think that would go without saying. It certainly does not turn great, and of course the different color orientation is a little bit off-putting. But I guess that's what you get when you add a 4th dimension to the cube. Because again, with there only being 4 symbols and there being 2 centerpieces left blank, it sort of implies that there is a correct and incorrect orientation of not just the centerpieces, but the cubes themselves. I think now that I've got this all taken care of, the rest is going to fall into place perfectly normally. Ow, 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 ow. God, it feels so good to go back to normal modern cubes after you've spent even just a little bit of time trying to solve one of these old ones. God, ow. Like legit, if you laughed at me for calling a modern day Rubik's Cube fast or smooth, spend like an hour with one of these and then type your apology in the comments below. I'm kidding, I'm not actually that pissy about it, but still, ow. How did people get like record time solves on these things? Like you have to do like full wrist turns, and there is done. Assuming the red is the bottom and the orange is at the top, we now have the cube solved with all 4 emblems in the correct orientation. So that, I guess, is the Rubik's 4th dimension. 4th dimension. That's a little bit of a weird one, but it can get weirder, because this is the Rubik's Magic Puzzle. Again from Matchbox, level 2 challenge. Ooh. Now we have to create the cube. They said, F it, do it yourself. I've never actually messed with this, but it came to me open. So let's see. Oh, it's one of these. I've seen these. I've never messed with one of these, but I've definitely seen them out and about at stores and stuff. That's weird. Okay, so it folds a lot. Oh, hold on. What's all this? Caution, do not play with this puzzle before reading the back of this label. Hold on, what? Do not attempt to play with this puzzle before reading the instruction sheet. Although strongly made, this puzzle can be broken through inexperience or misuse. Do not allow others to use the puzzle without proper instructions. Do not use excessive force while making puzzle movements. Oh man, that's definitely not what you want to see. Warning labels on your toy. Oh, look at this. Hey, a little comic. Aw, create the cube. Stop. Congratulations, you have purchased Rubik's Magic Puzzle Create the Cube. Now read this. Your puzzle has a ingenious construction that needs special care. A ingenious instruction? Am I supposed to trust this when it doesn't even have proper grammar? Never force your puzzle. You can tell that this is a meathead who is stupid and doesn't know how to solve the Rubik's Create the Cube, apparently. Stop if the puzzle doesn't move easily, try a different move. One basic move is flipping the panels. Another basic move is folding the panels. If folded correctly, it can be opened to form an endless loop of squares. Combine these 3 moves for any variations, or for many variations. Be patient in your search for a solution, and good luck. So yeah, so this is just saying, if you break it, it's your fault, essentially. I wonder if this is the result of them getting a bunch of letters back in the day of people trying to brute force a Rubik's Cube and then it shattering in their hands or something. So when they made this, which is an even more fragile, delicate puzzle, they were like, don't fuck it up. I'm not sure what the general solution is supposed to be here. They say build the cube, but that's kind of it. Oh, okay, so I can see it opens around here, but these stay pretty tight. I'm not sure what I'm doing with this one. I made a triangle. What are you meant to do with this? It didn't really indicate that there was a specific, solution. It just said many variations. They call it a puzzle, create the cube, but what's the actual, goal? Hello? I don't know. I think I'm dumb. I think I'm the meathead in the comic. It's fun. I just don't get it. Someone in the comments can tell me what this does. Ow, it pinched me. Okay, I'm done. So as you can see, with stuff like that, during the 80s, Rubik's were also kind of capitalizing on the craze around their cubes by making some different stuff. What I'm about to show you next is probably some of the most different stuff that you might have never expected. Rubik's pens. We got 2 different kinds of puzzle pen from the makers of Rubik's Cube. They're already open, so let's just get them out. Oh, they actually are a pen. They just have a puzzle within them. And then we got this one. Delicate as possible with this old packaging. Look before you twist. Examine your puzzle pen. There are 6 twisting sections and 6 lengthwise rows of different colored squares. Object, mix up the puzzle pen and then twist the sections to get it back to its solved appearance. Each of the 6 lengthwise rows will have 6 different colored squares. So it is a pen. Okay, yeah, all of these different rows turn. I guess you're supposed to evenly distribute all of the colors. And then this one has these little Tic Tacs in it. What does that one say? Examine your puzzle pen. There are 4 twisting sections and 5 lengthwise rows of bead spaces. Each of the 4 long rows contain 8 beads of the same color and 1 long row contains 6 beads of the same color. Object, mix up the puzzle pen and then get it back to its solved appearance. 5 lengthwise rows, each with beads of the same color. Move the beads around by twisting the sections of the puzzle pen and then tilting the pen so that the beads fall into the resulting empty spaces. So, like this? Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting. This one already looks like it's mostly good. I'm not going to sit around with these too much because we've got more exciting things to show, but I guess the one other thing I'll do is see if they still write. Paper. Oh, there we go. We got a little bit. We got a teeny tiny bit, not much. It's more of etchings than actual writing. Let's try the other one. Oh, might be even less, actually. Oh yeah, these are dried out, buddy. But still, these might be fun to mess around with and then come back to later when I figure them out. But for now, we move on. This one's actually pretty exciting. You guys know I'm into trading cards. Well, now we got the Rubik's card game. Ooh, a card game of bids, tricks, and trumps. From the makers of Rubik's Cube. Cube. We've got some Rubik's Cube cards. This is sealed from the 80s. Well, now it's not. It was before. So we've had cubes, pens, do-it-yourself cubes, and now we've got cube cards. Ooh, it's got its own little deck box. That's cute. Ooh, look at all this ancient paper. Oh, we got a pencil. This probably writes more than the Rubik's pens. We got a official Rubik's pencil. Doesn't even say Rubik's on it. So we've got a whole pad of like scoring cards. That's interesting. Then, of course, our card game instructions for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 to adult. But I don't really care about the rules of the game. I want to see the cards. Look at that logo. That's classy. The Rubik's Cube card game. Let's see. I wonder if PSA or CGC will grade my Rubik's Cube deck. Look at these. Oh, these are old, man. All right, so these are all different orientations of like specific cube colors, I guess. And oh, this is interesting. So these are very cute and very aesthetic, but you know, until I read the instructions, I won't know what the purpose of any of this is. But it looks like you have what would that be? Like 9 or so cards of each color with different levels of them solved, I guess. These would look really cool out all in a binder, which is exactly the opposite of what they were made for. I do wonder if you could get these graded. Ooh, some little extras. Let's see what these say. Well, first, I guess let's read the proper instruction page. A great new card game of bids, tricks, and trumps. Once you start playing, it might wind up being your favorite card game for life. That sounds like a threat. A trick consists of going once around the table with each player in the game putting one card from his hand on the table in his turn. The player who wins the trick collects all these cards. Round. A round consists of 1 or more tricks. In this game, the number of tricks per round is equal to the number of cards dealt to each player in the round, 1 card from each player per trick. This is why I don't get into like board games as much, because like just reading and trying to understand the rules just fries my brain a little bit. Bid, to predict. I don't know if I get it. And this just looks like the stuff on that page now added onto cards. Ooh, the Rubik's Cube Club and newsletter. Rubik's Cube Club, Box 72, Hollis, New York, 11423. Oh boy, you can send them money in a check or money order for yearly memberships to the Rubik's Cube Club and newsletter. I'm gonna fart. That was a tiny one. Oh, look at this! From the makers of Rubik's Cube, these great puzzle challenges. The original Rubik's Cube puzzle, the Rubik's Pocket Cube, the Rubik's Revenge, we've seen these. Rubik's World puzzle, what's that? Rubik's Cube puzzle necklace and puzzle keychain, we've seen that one. The Missing Link puzzle, the Missing Link puzzle keychain, I'm not sure what that is. Alexander's Star puzzle, the Trillion puzzle, puzzle pens, we saw those, and the Rubik's Cube perpetual calendar. What? Also available in deluxe executive editions. This actually might be a cool way to look for new stuff to show off in other Rubik's Cube videos, but this is neat. I have no clue what I'm supposed to do in this card game, and I don't have anyone to play it with, so I'm probably just going to admire these cards as vintage collectibles. So moving on from that, what we're now seeing is that Rubik's was really trying to capitalize on the craze of the Rubik's Cube by making a bunch of like board games and like weird little tabletop things. Including this one, which I think is still around today, but I have the OG like 1982 version. Rubik's Race, the fastest game in town, apparently. But we got Rubik's Race, we got, looks like down here was a 1, shake the scrambler, slide the tiles to match the scrambler, then drop the frame to claim the game. So I guess this is a kind of sliding puzzle where you're meant to move these tiles around to match this, but let's take a look inside. Ooh, let's see if I was right. A game for 2 players, ages 7 to adult. Wasn't the last one for ages 8 to adult? Apparently this one's a little bit simpler. It's a race to make the scrambled cube face. It's Rubik's Race, the fastest game in town. A head-to-head challenge form. What? A head-to-head challenge form of the world's most diabolical puzzle craze. Okay, I thought that was a typo. So, ooh, a lot of yellowed plastic. Nice. So we got these are really cute, actually. We got these little mini tiles. We got what they're supposed to go in, I guess. And this, I would imagine, is the plastic lid that goes on top of that. Yes. Ew, look at it. Oh, it's gross. So these bits, the parts that you build out the game board with, actually appear to still be untouched. But this was not a sealed product, I don't believe. Then we got the board. So I know I'm not going to be able to like properly play this, but let's see if we can at least set it up. Let's start with this bit first. We can open this up and get these tiny, teeny, tiny little cubelets out. Ooh, look at these little 1x1 Rubik's cubes. These are really cool. This is enough to make me think this is neat. So I guess we just pop these in here 1x1. I don't think it really matters where we put them or how we orientate them. Then we pop this lid on and what? We just shake it? We can just kind of like shake it around and then it kind of goes into a proper orientation. You gotta jostle it around a little bit. It would be cool if this was like that one game where you press it down and they all like pop, but that's a little too advanced for this, I think. Then we got all of these, the big tiles for the boards. These seem to have never been opened. That's actually kind of exciting. And for once, the plastic here doesn't look all deteriorated and yellow and gross. It actually looks like it's been well preserved for all of these decades. So we've got all the different color plastic tiles that you'd normally see on some Rubik's Cube stuff, but they're all in that like weird little plastic lining that a lot of toys used to have where you have to kind of individually break them off. I've never liked this kind of thing. I didn't grow up with it, so it's not nostalgic for me, and it just always feels like I'm doing something wrong. But this is how you're supposed to do it, it seems. And they're coming off all right. I remember there's some old like Ninja Turtles toys that you had to do this with or something like that way back before I was born. Ah! Ow! Ow, that one scratched me. See, it's dangerous! Don't do it! All right, I think I've got it. So now we have taken all of these, we've separated them out half and half, 48 tiles, and you split them 24 to a piece, and then you have this one little free space here that you take out, and then you can slide them all around and mix them up and scramble them. So what you're supposed to do is take this, you shake it up until it forms a little pattern, but you'll notice that this pattern is only a 3x3. So the two of you have to go into here, scramble these around, and try and see who can make this pattern, whatever this ends up being, the fastest when you close this on top of it, and you can see your 3x3 little square right there. So let's actually see how fast I can do it. So I'm not very good at these like slidey puzzle things. Okay, you know what? I think what I'm learning here is that I would be incredibly bad at this game. I've never, ever been good at these kinds of sliding puzzles. I've always been bad at them. Okay, something's happening. Oh! Got it! Fuck you. Alright, that wasn't quite as bad as I thought, but I am not good at these kinds of puzzles. But it was red, yellow, blue, red, orange, yellow, white, red, yellow. Fucking got it. And of course I won against my opponent, which was no one. So that's the best way to win. So that is Rubik's Race, and I'm pretty sure these still exist. They've just obviously been redesigned for the modern day. But it's really neat to see that this is how it originally started. It's very noisy. It's very noisy, and the plastic is kind of sharp, but this is really neat. I like this. But if I wasn't smart enough for Rubik's Race, I don't think I stand a chance against the Rubik's Brain game, a game of logic and deduction for 2. I'm still just me. I have 2 of these, though. I think one of them is open and might not have all of the stuff in it, and then the other one is sealed. I don't remember why I have 2. I think it was a situation that I ordered the sealed one on eBay, and it just wasn't going to get here in time, so I found something else. Let's see if this has everything in it. I have never seen this. I don't think this one still exists, but let's see. All right, we got a bunch of little tiles and cubes like we did before. We got this. Ooh. Oh, there's stuff. Ooh. Oh, lots of tiles. Ooh. Let's see if I can get this going without having to open up the sealed one. Rubik's Brain Game, a game of logic and deduction for 2.
The code.
Hidden under the molded shield in the console lies a 3x3 grid of colors like the scrambled face of a Rubik's Cube puzzle. One player, designated the Code Master, this is very 80s, has arranged the code cubes with diabolical cleverness. The other player, the Decoder, has a mission. Break the secret code in the fewest possible steps. The method, he or she asks certain special questions about the colors at different coordinates. The Code Master replies with only the minimum of information, and piece by piece, the puzzle falls into place. When it's completely cracked, the player reverses roles and the drama begins again. Thinking was never so much fun. Copyright 1983. Man. What a bunch of nerds. But can we appreciate how perfectly 80s this box is? The like shiny plastic game with the weird like 1984 robot face in the background. It's, oh, this is some classic 80s cheese. I love this. And we got the instructions here. Why does it feel wet? Ew, ew. We got all this. This is certainly not how it was originally packaged. I hope we have everything. This is the code case. Look at all those. Look at all these little tiles. They give you a lot. Man, you could choke on these. That'd be one hell of a choking time. Then, of course, you have all of these. Yet another little set of cubelets to start building things out from, I guess. Where does it go? Ah, there it is. That's what I was looking for. So you put that in there. So this is the cover for the tile bin, but it also doubles as where you put your little cubelets, and you put this into this little secret compartment that you build. That way you, the code master, can start building out your little specific order of colors with these little cubelets, and the opposing player, the decoder, doesn't get to see. That's cute. I wonder how many people actually had and played with these, because no one talks about them today, and a lot of them don't even exist anymore. So you have your specific little set of cubelets here with a different organization of colors depending on what you want. And then I guess it's kind of like Battleship at that point. I think that's what it is. So the Codemaster has set up a grid, and the Decoder has a bunch of little tiles that they have to like start asking questions to figure out like where to put tiles. And if you get it wrong, you put them in this little reject pile, etc., etc. And the goal for the Decoder is to try and figure out this hidden little stack of colors so you can eventually build out the exact formation here, which we're doing where it was a lot of blues. There's a lot of blue. That one's... What is that? We got little sticks. Those are meant to be there. So that would be win condition, though maybe it needs to be flipped upside down. I'm not sure. And then all the rejects go in here. But then you have these. What are these little things? They go in here for sure, but what are they meant to be? So I think I'm getting the general gist of this, but we've got also these little sticks that I would assume have to go into this. I'm not really sure what that part's all about, because it looks like there's only one of them per color, though I'm not seeing all of them. Oh, come on. So whoever sold me this lost the green peg and has now given me what looks like a broken little piece of wood stick with some tape on it to replace it. So there's that. I guess that's what you get when you're buying a toy from the 80s that no one remembers or cares about. It looks like we had every piece except for the green one, but that's fine. I've got a sealed one. This is fine enough. We got the gist. It's Rubik's Cube Battleship, I guess. One person builds a grid, the other one tries to guess what the grid is, and if you don't get it wrong, you probably, I don't know, you die. Something like that. This is cute. I like that. But speaking of games and the 80s and things no one cares about except me, we all know about the Atari 2600. Hell yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Hell yeah, dude. Atari 2600 Rubik's Cube video game. I'm gonna have to break out the my old Atari system to actually play this. But yes, there was an Atari 2600 video game based on the Rubik's Cube way back in what appears to be 1984. For those of you who don't know, because this is ancient history at this point, not a whole lot of retro gamers even really care about stuff this old anymore, but the Atari 2600 was one of the first ever like home console video game systems with cartridges and stuff way back in the 80s and 70s. It was super primitive, really simplistic graphics. You controlled it with a joystick. You've probably seen the joystick more than you've seen anything else from the console. And this was before the Nintendo Entertainment System came out. Like Mario didn't exist when the Atari 2600 was launched, and the NES system wouldn't have launched until 1985 in the States. So this was gaming for the majority of the early 80s. Unless you went to an arcade, this is what you had. And I love the Atari. I have a massive Atari collection that I will never get rid of because no one cares about it, which means I don't feel pressured to get rid of it for any financial reason or anything like that, so I can hog it all to myself. And this is interesting because yes, this is a Rubik's Cube tile matching kind of computer game for the Atari 2600, very primitive. I've yet to actually play it, but there's actually multiple different versions of this that exist because I guess at one point they lost the rights to the Rubik's Cube name. So there are Atari 2600 Rubik's Cube cartridges, and there are Atari 2600 Video Puzzle Cube cartridges, or whatever it's called. So I managed to find an actual Rubik's Cube one, and now let's switch over to the gameplay. All right, so I couldn't find all the cables for my Atari 2600, so we are instead using the Atari 7800, and due to reflection on the screens, I've had to turn off all the lights, so this is the best we're gonna get. I'll probably try and intersplice this with some, like, properly captured footage, but I really wanted to show this running on a proper old CRT. So I'm using my old SpongeBob here. Maybe I shouldn't have banged it like that. But here we go. We got Rubik's Cube for the Atari. We're gonna pop that in, turn the system on. Oh. Oh my goodness. Do you hear that? So I don't know if you can hear me over the sound of the game, but I can't figure out how to fix this. I think it's just old. So we're gonna mute. We're gonna mute the TV. It's an Atari game. You don't need to hear it. You can see we've already got kind of a demo running. So it is a virtual cube. It is apparently 3D. It turns and stuff, and you control a tiny little elf man who runs around your cube and tries to put it together. Let's actually see if we can get this thing running. Which button are you supposed to use? None of these are making the game happen. Okay, what? Oh, okay, what is happening? All right, hold on, let's try this again. Ah, here we go. Okay, so we're controlling our little elf person. Whoa. Oh, what's happening? This is not, okay, now we're moving. Cube 27, apparently. I guess, oh, okay, so maybe you get to choose your scramble before you move? Okay, why can't I move that way? Is it like a maze? I don't have the manual for this game, so I'm not really sure what I'm meant to be doing here. Okay, so it's red, and the other one's red, and blue, and that one's blue now, and I don't really know what I'm doing here. This doesn't seem to run by the actual rules of a Rubik's Cube because you can change the center cube color. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait, am I the little character? Am I carrying the color with me? Wait, I'm getting it. I'm understanding. Yeah, okay. Dang, I'm dumb. Okay, so my little character here is not just moving cubes around. He's picking up the color. I'm gonna take a drink of my soda. He's picking up the color of the cube and moving it around. So this certainly does not work like an actual cube. It works like a strange little, like, coloring game. Oh, is that what it is? If I'm carrying the color red, I can't go onto a red panel. I see. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, so it is a maze. Oh, I see. I get it now. Boom. Two sides. I got two sides. What am I supposed to be? Why do I look like this? It appears to be counting how many moves it takes, so we're gonna have a not particularly great score, but we got three sides now. Look at that yellow, red, and orange. Boom. Come on. Oh. Okay, we got 4 sides now. 5 sides now. Wait, did I win? I think I won. I think I did the thing. Why wouldn't they let you, like, examine your cube when you finished? But I did it. I won. I solved the cube. Okay, that's actually really cool. Okay, so now I get how it works. So I'm gonna maybe swap to a more professional looking setup with proper game capture, and I'm gonna try it again. All right, so now that I know what I'm doing, I have loaded the game, the actual cartridge, onto the Atari 2600 Plus, which is a more modern console that plays these old games in HD. It was a gift from my mom for Christmas last year. Thank you, Mom. And now I'm going to try and do this again, and maybe actually, like, maybe have a decent time on it, now that I actually understand how the game works. That's the thing about these old Atari games. If you don't have the manual, you have no clue how the game works until you figure it out yourself. These games, as you maybe can tell, are so primitive that there is just absolutely no way for the game to have a tutorial built into it. They had to put that in the manual. These kinds of games aren't particularly expensive anymore because no one plays Atari anymore besides me. Well, me and a bunch of, like, 50-year-olds. But especially on a game like this, which is actually a little bit rare for the system, getting one with the box and the manual is not only difficult, it's a little bit pricey. So I only have the cartridge, so I had to figure the game out myself. But now that I know, now that I understand how it works, we're gonna try for a decent, an actual decent solve. So let's see. There's a knob on the system that says game select. 4, 5, 6. What is happening? Oh, no, I think I'm on a no cube version. Oh, God. Oh, no. I don't know how, like, the actual system of picking the game works. Game 5, Game 6, Game 7. Where's just Game 1? Pressing the button on the joystick's not doing anything. Go. Who's it? Oh, it's going so fast. Why is he going so fast? Why is he going so fast? Which one of these buttons starts the game? Okay, Game 1. Let me do it. Which one of these buttons starts the game? Game, begin, go, engage. Okay, finally, we're moving. Okay, all right. This is just, these old consoles are cryptic, man. I'm carrying yellow. Let's see if I can find the yellow center space. There we go. So now we can move around, pick up the colors, and drop them in different spots. Find a spot that's already got a red center space, so I don't gotta do too much about that. I don't think it matters necessarily if you are messing around with the centerpieces or not, but as someone who actually solves the cube a lot, centerpieces aren't supposed to move. So I'm gonna see if I can avoid messing with those too much. All right, so there's orange on that side. Good. This is as fast as I can go, people. Okay, reds. Here we go. Oh, this actually works pretty well because we can just pick and drop all this purple. Also, I never pointed that out. There's no purple on Rubik's cubes, so I guess maybe the Atari couldn't do, or they chose not to do white. I'm pretty sure an Atari's 2600 can do a white block, but I guess they just chose not to here. So now we got some orange. I'm not sure if there is any particular strategy to this game or if it's just go, 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 but I don't know. Like, if it weren't for the fact that the console itself is just so old and clunky and kind of hard to figure out, like, this would actually be pretty dang addicting. It's actually simpler than solving a Rubik's Cube, in all honesty. It's a little bit more intuitive because, I mean, you can only do so much back then. Hey, we got the purple side. Nice. Not sure what the orientation of this particular cube is meant to be, but here we go. There's some blue, and we can drop this red here, grab this blue, bring it down here, bring this red up here. Nice. Got some green. Where's the green stuff? This is fun. I like this. I'm glad I bought this game. I guess to some extent, this is kind of like a video game equivalent of peeling the stickers off of your Rubik's Cube and just putting them wherever you want in order to solve it. All right, we got a few solved sides now. That's fun. Where's that yellow side? Oh, we're almost done. We're almost done. Green. Green. Blue. Blue. Yellow. Oh, I think maybe I finished. Yeah! 420. Where's the green stuff? Yeah! I like this game. I like this game. Once I figure out actually how to, like, properly use it, I might play this from time to time. This is fun. The joystick's a little bit crampy on the hand, but again, that's the charm of these old consoles. Now, how do I do it that fast? Rubik's Cube for the Atari! I like it. Well, now we've seen a bunch of vintage Rubik's Cube puzzles, toys, card games, board games, and even a video game. But what about just Rubik's Game? This is just straight up called Rubik's Game. It's a cube. It's a game. I have no clue what this is. So let's rip into this. Ugh, there we go. How many of these people do you think are dead at this point? So let's take a look. For 2 to 6 players, ages 7 to adult, 1, place the pegs on cube squares of your color, twist the cube once 90 degrees to break up the opponent's rows as you set up your own, and 3 peg squares of your color in a row. Oh, okay, so it's like a weird Rubik's Cube tic-tac-toe. Interesting. And, oh, okay, so it comes with a cube. Deluxe version Rubik's Cube. Ooh. This box maybe feels water damaged. This is the reason I wanted this so bad and wanted to do this video, because in looking up these old vintage Rubik's Cube spin-off products, I discovered something called a deluxe edition Rubik's Cube that I was just so instantly fascinated by. Remember when I was showing you the original 80s cube and I said all these old cubes, they use stickers, but nowadays they've advanced to these plastic tiles? Well, apparently they were doing that all the way back in the 80s. They were just calling them the deluxe edition, and apparently no one remembers these. Look at that. that. We got our big bag of pegs. This looks like teeth. And then we've got our little, display piece for the actual cube. So it goes here, it would appear, something like that. Or maybe it slides in. Ooh, that's kind of neat. But no, this is the entire reason I wanted this. I was fascinated by the idea that all the way back in the 80s, there existed these premium plastic tiled Rubik's Cubes that no one talks about or remembers. So of course I saw this and I'm like, that's fascinating. I didn't think they did these plastic tiled cubes up until like 2011 or something like that. But no, apparently they existed all the way back in the 80s. But in this game, you can see, because you're meant to stick those little pegs in them, this thing might, this thing looks like Legos. It might actually trigger some people's tryptophobia, but it's just a cool tiled cube, but with all these little holes in it. So you got these little pegs, and you scramble the cube, and you scramble the cube. Oh man, that turns like hell. Oh man, that's tough. This was the deluxe version, and then it goes into the thing. That's cool. And then you're supposed to twist it all around until you can get your pegs into 3 of the same color in a row, or 3 of your specific color in a row, and then you win. That's cool. That's cute. I actually like this as a little display piece too. But after discovering this and noticing how they labeled this as a deluxe edition Rubik's Cube, that got me curious. In all of my years being a massive fan and collector of Rubik's Cubes, I had never heard of a deluxe edition cube from the 80s. Never once. All I knew was that I dropped it. All I knew was that the original cubes had stickers and the modern cubes introduced plastic tiles because it was better, I guess. So I started perusing eBay and I found this. The deluxe edition Rubik's Cube, not part of a game, just in the original packaging, sealed up, and probably I got scammed a little bit because there were so few of these on eBay. None. I couldn't find a single one outside of this one that was actually in its packaging and could be confirmed to be a deluxe edition Rubik's Cube, because I also picked up this thing, which is an old cube with plastic tiles, but it's definitely not this. You can see this is some kind of cheap knockoff. The tiles were already falling. So I wanted to get one in the packaging that had the Rubik's logo somewhere on it so I could guarantee that what I was getting was real. The problem is, when there's so few online, you kind of just have to pay what they ask. And I dropped an unfortunate $400 on this cube, and then I found this one for 10. Oops. And the reason I was okay with spending $400 on this at the time was because A, there were no others, and B, it was sealed. But now that I look at it, there's a piece of scotch tape right here. So I don't think this is as sealed as the seller wanted me to find out. So then I found this one for like maybe $80. That one's more reasonable. So, but yes, now I have multiple of my now favorite vintage cube, the deluxe edition. One that appears to be properly sealed, one that I bought loose that was in good condition, and this one that I think I maybe got scammed on a little bit. But the interesting thing is that the Rubik's Cube logo appears to be in a different place on each one. Actually, this one just appears to be a sticker. Hold on. It appears to just be a sticker instead of being like printed on. I don't think I ever noticed that. This one looks like it's printed on. And this one's got this big, bold gold one. Yeah, they're all on different sides. This one's on blue, this one's on yellow, and this one's on red. But yes, the Rubik's Deluxe, it is plastic tiles. It is a little bit higher quality than the standard bearer of the time. I love this thing. I love the way it looks. I love how much more high quality it feels. Speed cubers like to have their cubes light in their hands. I actually like a weighty cube. And this is the one that I bought loose. I put some lube in it. And while it's not great because it is still an old cube, it does feel a lot more premium to mess with, even if it does still move like shit. I have no idea if anyone watching this is gonna share my like weird fascination with this particular cube, but because I had no idea it existed, because it's only been preserved in this weird little game version, and because I think I got scammed out of $400 for one, I think that's what we're gonna end on. So to wrap this up, let's maybe take this cube, scramble it up proper, and do a little solve. And you know what, why not? Let's just pull out the timer and do it that way. Okay, we got the timer, we got the cube. Turn it on. Is the battery dead? Battery might be dead. Okay, timer's going back in the drawer and we're gonna use my phone instead. And start. All right, so then we do this, and then we go over to, here, then we do that, here. Once I put the lubricant in this, it actually does move okay for a vintage cube, and something about the plastic tiles does make it a little bit easier to grip, and maybe the internals are different, I'm not sure, but it does just feel a little bit more premium compared to like an actual vintage cube. I wonder if this is what people were using in competitions back in the day, because there were speed cubing competitions back in the 80s. They weren't really called speed cubers, but like one of the first ever world records for the Rubik's Cube solve was like 30 seconds, and it was on a vintage cube. It was really fascinating to see, because they were doing it all with these like crazy turns that you had to do with your full wrist, because these cubes were not meant to be solved fast. They were just meant to be solved at all. It's loud as hell. This thing is loud as hell. And done. That was about 1 minute and 40 seconds, but you know, I'm not really a speed cuber in general. I can usually get about 1 minute or maybe slightly less than 1 minute on a speed cube, and so that makes sense, but I don't really solve cubes for the speed. You know, I find these things fascinating and comforting, specifically just for the way they give my brain and hands something to do. I take these with me all the time when I go on like car rides or train rides or anything like that, and even though I'm not getting like better at solving them or anything, I do just love having them with me to give me something to do. It's just such a nice, comforting thing. And of course, being as old as they are, they also have a rich history that a lot of people don't really go over. People are so interested in the new and exciting speed cubes that no one really ever talks about these weird oddities from back in the 80s. And to me, that's what's more interesting. Even if these are more practical, this is way more interesting. So I don't know. Do you care? Did you care? I don't know. Leave.